Welcome to Kunoichi Expert Talks, where we share actionable insights on how to scale tech businesses the ninja way. Smart moves, real results. Today, we're talking about a topic every marketing leader is thinking about, and it's AI. And it's not the hype. It's not the LinkedIn gurus. It's not the promise of hundreds of agents running your business while you're sleeping. It's the practical side. It's like, what are marketing leaders using AI really for? How's it useful to save them time? And also, how to move their teams to the next level and faster. Our guest today is Joris Brabants. I'm very excited to have Joris on the call because we've known each other for almost 10 years. We worked together at Travel Perk, now Perk. And Joris can give you a little explanation on that in his intro. But now, Joris, you're CMO of Apicbase, and you also were a speaker at the AR for Marketeers Day that happened just, I think a few weeks ago. So tell us a little bit about yourself, short intro, and how you got here to AI.
Oh, how I got to AI. It's a long story. I think we go 15 years back to B2B SaaS. I worked at Expenditure. It was a fintech company, and that was later acquired by Sodexo. From Expenditure, I then moved to Barcelona to join Travel Perk, where we worked together, of course, a couple of years. And after Travel Perk, I moved back to Belgium, where I then joined Apicbase, where I'm now working for about 7 years already. And from there on, I dipped my toes into AI. I think it was about 2 years ago. I think we all started just playing around with ChatGPT, but a lot of things have happened since then. And from that point, I was already like, okay, this is gonna change how we work. So I really need to be at the forefront. So I've been doing a lot of deep dives, joining a lot of communities, joining some masterminds to keep me up to date, because at the speed at which it's moving is impossible to figure it out all by yourself. So I try to surround myself with a bunch of people that are also going deep into it and trying to share our experiences and knowledge with each other. So it's been an interesting ride, and it's only been like a year or two. So
and today we also wanted to shed some light on, what's reality, what's hype. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, because when we look at the newsfeed, at least for me, it also happens that I scroll through LinkedIn and it seems like everybody has these armies of AI agents working for them. So what is it that's actually real, and what's the hype for you?
All right. First, I think barely anyone is having AI agents working 24/7 for them at the moment. I think the majority is still just using AI as if it's Google, asking it random questions and probably getting better or faster answers than they did compared to Google. But they're, just scratching the surface, let's say. And then second, the ones that do have an army of agents working for them, I don't believe they have them working for them 24/7. It sounds cool, but we're talking about marketing, right? And it's all about messaging, communication, etc., etc. So relying on things that can just spit out messages towards the world, towards your audience, without any human control in place. I think we're still far away from that, and I still think it's way too risky to put your brand at stake. You've probably you as well with Kunoichi Growth. You invest a lot in your brand, and you don't want to have that damaged by messaging that doesn't resonate with what your brand stands for. So for me, that's still hype.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's we are still like figuring out what we can use AI for and where is it still not there yet. So can you talk a little bit about what are people expecting AI to do where it's definitely not ready yet?
Yeah, running your business. 20%. We're not there yet.
Outsourcing
We're not
everything, right?
there yet. Yeah, you see these Instagram reels passing by. Hey, Jarvis, and the screen pops
Yeah.
up, and you get your daily summary. But there are a lot of things that you can already, yeah, leverage, and it's a bunch of things. The only thing you need is whether it's Codex or a cloud subscription. 20 euros a month up to 200 euros a month, you're already good to go. You can schedule tasks that run daily or weekly, or you can pull dashboards together from various sources. These are all relevant and relevant use cases that are already possible today. So there are a lot of possibilities already. But yeah, running your entire business ain't gonna happen yet.
So we spoke about limitations and we'll look also into a little bit the future at the end of our conversation. But now let's see how a life or a week of a CMO actually looks like with the usage of AI. So where do you see the most value for you today in your work as a CMO?
Yeah. Yeah, I already scratched the surface there a little bit. So I have a couple of daily and weekly scheduled tasks that just run on a daily or weekly basis. And let's say one of them is email triage. Each morning, I just get a summary of the things that do need my attention in my inbox, the things that don't need my attention, and even some suggestions of, okay, you didn't open that newsletter for X time, so maybe it's time to unsubscribe even. So email triage is one of them.
So maybe just
Second
for
one
listeners to
is
understand
like,
how that works. Sorry to interrupt you here. Like this, is it easy to set up? Maybe you could just like
yeah,
explain
no,
how
don't
you
worry.
set it up.
Yeah, it's super easy to set up. So if you have a cloud subscription, but I also think that there are other providers out there, the Microsofts and the OpenAIs, you can easily connect your Gmail just like you would have a CRM that has your email connected to it. So each day at a set time, it's gonna read your inbox. It's gonna check your unread emails, and it's gonna give you a summary to take action. And the cool thing is, when you set up that task, you can really tell it how to act. You can tell these things are important for me. These need to be highlighted. These things are less important. So, and you can even let it write a draft as a reply to certain emails. So it's basically one large prompt that you write, and even in writing the prompt, you can ask AI to help you write that prompt. So don't overcomplicate it. Just ask ChatGPT or Claude, like, hey, I want to do this email triage. These types of emails are important to me. I also wanted to create a draft. Write that prompt for me. Okay, review that prompt. Put it into that scheduled task that you set up, and let it run. And maybe the first couple of days that you run it, you see some things that aren't 100% how you want it to be. And then you just make some tweaks to the prompt, and eventually it works the way you want it to work. And
Okay,
there's
cool.
various tasks like that. Another one is like a weekly industry news digest. It basically does the same thing. First of all, it looks at all the different newsletters that I'm subscribed to within the industry that I'm working, which is food service and hospitality. And I also feed it with a couple of news websites. So each week it gives me a nice overview of the important things that happened in that space in Europe. So things like large companies that appointed a new CEO, for example, companies that are announcing certain growth plans, like, hey, we're a restaurant chain and we're planning to open up 50 new locations in the UK. All these things are relevant for us, and we want to be informed. So that's another example of a scheduled task that you can set up.
Yeah.
Then, so those are things that run on a recurring base. Then we have reporting, for example, also something that you can easily set up yourself. Let's say you have your cloud account, you have various data sources connected. In my case, it's our CRM, which is HubSpot. Then we have Google Analytics, Google Ads, Google Search Console, and LinkedIn Ads isn't connected. There I provide it with like a weekly or a monthly export of performance. And then it starts building a dashboard the way I really wanted it to be for the past couple of years already. We're using HubSpot, and I can do a lot of things in there when it comes to dashboards and widgets. But the thing that was still missing, for example, is, okay, I can see where leads come from, but I don't have my exact costs data that I can also use in those dashboards in HubSpot. Well, now I can, because it pulls in the data from AdWords, and it can create widgets around that, and it can combine it with the data that it sees in HubSpot. So there it sees how many leads we generated from AdWords. Then it pulls in the costs from AdWords and then makes that division, like, okay, your cost per lead was that amount. That some of these things, it's actually simple. It's a simple thing, but it wasn't possible in HubSpot previously for us. So these things are now much easier.
Yeah, usually it was like done in a spreadsheet, and now you can automate it.
Yeah, exactly, which you need to update weekly or monthly. And the cool thing is, like, if you have like outliers, things that are going super well or that are really going bad, it's you can let it go a step deeper and build it in a way that it also gives you pointers, like what the cause of these outliers can be. Of course, you need to investigate yourself what the exact reason is, but it can, for example, already spot like, hey, all of a sudden the cost per click in that specific region was going up dramatically, or you're being outperformed by a couple of competitors that started advertising as well. That's why you got less clicks in that area, for example. So it already gives you some direction where to look, which is also nice, of course.
Yeah.
Another thing that I use it for on a weekly basis, just to organize my thoughts.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes in the car, I just start talking to a cloud instance, which just summarizes it, puts it all into a folder with daily my daily thoughts files, and it's easy because I can query them later. I am writing this weekly newsletter since like 2 or 3 months. It's in Dutch, so a lot of your listeners probably won't.
You can translate it.
I can, or have it translated, but it's easy because a lot of things that spin through my mind are already captured, and I can just ask, like, hey, my previous 8 newsletters, what would be a good subject for the next one? And it just goes through those brain dumps, and it gives me a couple of suggestions to run.
Yeah. Do you do that the same day, hour of time? Like, do you have like a ritual, or is it just when you
to send it?
No, like the daily like brain dump.
It happens on various moments. Usually when I'm driving to work or from work back home. And then it's mainly voice because I can just talk to it, and then throughout the day, sometimes it's a quick text note that I add. Yeah. So it's a variation of types of nodes.
Cool.
Those are already a couple of examples. Within the marketing team, we have a couple of processes where we use an agentic setup that goes through a bunch of steps. We'll probably go deeper on that later this conversation as well.
Yeah, when we talk about the agents run your business.
Cool.
Okay, so we talked about some of the tasks where you do use AI, and which are the tasks you would totally refuse at this point, apart from running your business, to delegate to AI.
Okay. Super important, I think. Our previous boss also mentions it a lot on LinkedIn. Everything that has to do with people and relationships and preferring to do stuff in real life. Anything that involves relationships and politics, basically, where there's feelings and gut feeling involved and things like that. If we don't, then we'll get into a situation where an email is written by an agent, you send it to a person, but it's read by another agent, which then drafts a reply, and they're just agents.
And I think it happens already, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you see those comments on LinkedIn, and it feels like it's just like bots talking to each other.
Yeah, and it's really it's really cringe sometimes if you see these messages or if you see emails which have AI written all over it. I get goosebumps when I see those emails, and it comes from like people have good intentions. They try to leverage it, but they overdo it sometimes. So it becomes so obvious, and you're like, did you actually read what you sent, or does this actually resonate for you, what you just sent?
Yeah. And I get the temptation that sometimes you're like, you're tired, you don't have the headspace to formulate an email, so you let AI do it. But then, as you were saying, like sometimes the damage is bigger if you don't like just wait an hour, nothing will break if you don't send that email. But like use your brain. It's like one of my, like when I had a job at the university, I was working in a cafeteria at this lady from Thailand. She was my boss. She was like, use your brain, Sophie. So it's still true. But I think like anything with critical judgment is also something you shouldn't delegate to AI, which really like it's based on your experience and also your intuition. And usually it's a combination of intuition comes from the experience. So it's like this fine line where sometimes I feel it's when you're don't want to move that extra step, then AI is very handy because it makes it for you. I sometimes like when I can't find the right formulation of an email, I check with AI and then I use maybe that line because it's sometimes AI does get the point when you already have the final draft and just like refining some things. But the overuse, as you're saying, it's like, that's a much bigger problem. And also it's kind of like trying to make everything perfect and we lose the human essence to it. So I see like Abby from Ferg, like putting mistakes on purpose or writing everything in not capital, but like what's it like? Well, not non-capital letters, right?
I got to a point at work where I was so frustrated. It was a Friday afternoon. I still remember. It was a Friday afternoon, and I was checking conversion from marketing qualified leads to opportunities. Yeah, we still do that. And I saw that a serious drop, and then I really want to go into deep, and I go and check each inbound request that wasn't turned into an opportunity already, because it was quite big company, so possibility to turn into quite big deals. And then you scroll through the timeline of, okay, what happened here? And you try to understand that context. And then I stumbled upon a couple of emails where there was research done. There was like 5, 6 different things, data points that needed to be researched and were then included in that email, but they were just cramped together in one large sentence just to show that they did research, but it didn't provide any value. And I was like, you or something did that research, but you could have used this in a much smarter way that actually makes sense and provides relevant info to that person. So I came home and I started building the email grill, which is basically a tool that where you can drop in an email, and it then roasts your email based on personalization, the use of AI, the use of certain email or cold email techniques, and it then scores it. And it's super hard to get past 4 or 5 out of 10 because it's super.
Yeah, I know. I used it.
Super hard, but that's another use of like I think AI. Like 2-3 years ago, we could have had amazing creative ideas, but it was hard to execute because it needed an entire team to be able to build something. You needed a designer, and you needed a front end guy and a back end guy and now you can have an idea and you can start prompting away. Since a couple of weeks, you can build a prototype in Cloud Design, and if your prototype is done, you can hand it over to Cloud Code and it starts building it. And before you know, you can build really cool internal tools, internal or even public tools. That's something we also see happening across all departments.
Yeah. I mean, moving just like into what we're just talking about and which tools are useful, and what is it, the usage, and also to help you make decisions better, to understand, like data sources and analysis. You mentioned a couple of things that you guys are using it for, to plug data sources from your CRM, from the campaign managers, from analytics, and it will generate reports that will then help you to make decisions. Can you maybe showcase an example, or are there other ways that you combine data sources to generate insights?
For myself, it's mainly on that reporting level where I can combine data that we have in HubSpot with data that lives in Google Analytics or in Google AdWords or another data source. And when I look at my team, for example, we have a content guy who, when he starts researching content, for example, he has access, or he gives his agent access to a folder that contains all of the call transcripts with prospects and existing customers. So there it can do a lot of research on like, okay, what terminology are people using? And then he can cross-reference that with another tool that's connected, which is Ahrefs, which is an SEO tool, where we can actually cross-reference that with, okay, and what is the search volume for these type of queries? Is it actually been searched in Google? And then you can look at, okay, and how difficult will it be to actually rank for this? Based on that, he gets a bunch of suggestions where to focus his efforts on. When he picks one of those, more research happens, because then it actually goes and look at the search engine results, a couple of competitors that we defined. So it's a layered approach, and in each layer, a couple of data sources are being checked, which really helps him in making the message that we or making the point that we want to make much more relevant to the people that we write it for. And that's actually super cool to see, where previously, okay, as a writer, you try to do your research, but first of all, it takes a lot of time. And second of all, it's still a writer. It's not a CFO in a large food service company. So it's sometimes hard to find the language that those people, that will resonate for those people. And by having all these different data sources, first of all, the customer calls, for example, that's a super valuable source of information where it basically all starts for him. That's another example. Let me see. Our product releases take into account data from Jira, data from Notion. Again, the customer calls to see if certain prospects already mentioned it, that they're waiting for a certain feature, which allows us to write much better product release emails and social media messages.
Yeah, so we have like 3 use cases, kind of the analysis of data coming from different sources, the content part where you pull also research and real transcripts, and then product for also communication and then accuracy on what's going on. So moving that part from pulling data into actual automations and workflows, what workflows are you currently automating? You touched already upon a few, but like what's your go-to workflow?
Our go-to,
and of course the agents, like
yeah.
you use agents.
Well, the latest that I put together and that I'm now refining together with a colleague is that monthly release cycle that we have. So each month our product team has a release meeting with the entire company. All of that information is fed into a Notion page in a very structured way. So what we did was, we fetch the content from that page. On that page, there are also references to Jira tickets. So first of all, the agent reads the page. It then goes and reads all the Jira tickets for some deeper information, and it then checks the same folder, the folder where the call transcripts live, to see if there are things that are mentioned in that new release that are also mentioned during those calls, to see if we can already pull in some quotes. So that's the first step. And then we have a step of a human checkpoint. And that's super important that you have various human checkpoints in such a process. So that first checkpoint, what it does is it offers us the different features that we can highlight towards the different segments that we want to communicate to. So we send emails to prospects, an email to actual end users, but also an email to customers, which aren't always the end users, but more the decision-making unit. And towards the prospects, we might highlight the same feature, but we do it in a different way. We do it more from an inspirational way. Like last month, for example, we released WhatsApp notifications, where we can talk about the fact that you'll never miss an update again. But if we send that same feature to a user, we're going to say like, hey, go to your dashboard, to your settings, activate your number, and or verify your number and activate the notifications. That's the same feature, but in a different way. So it's going to suggest features for each audience segment. If we don't agree, we can just disagree and tell them like, no, this needs to be included in the user email, for example. Okay, that's checkpoint number 1. When we confirmed what we want to include, it's going to do a second step of research. And in that step of research is going to look at competitors and our own website, for example. Our own website to see like, okay, do you need to do an update to a certain page to make sure that this is included? And the competitive research is mainly to see like, okay, what narrative or what positioning can we put into place for these specific features, but also why that would be a good angle. So he then comes back with, hey, the WhatsApp notification, I would position this in this specific way. The semantic search that you recently launched, that's really important for multicultural, multi-language teams. Like, I would position it that way. Again, it's a checkpoint. We can disagree if we want to. We can give it feedback. But once the narrative is defined, then it actually starts writing the different messages for the emails, for the social media messages, for the in-app notifications. And that's a really nice flow where we used to spend a lot of time. And now if we run that like within 15 to 30 minutes, we have all the content that we need for a product release. And it just needs to be reviewed and edited by our senior copy, by our senior content guy. So what used to take hours trying to get sources together, talking to product, like, yeah, I see this feature, but what does it actually do? How does it actually work? The agents have all the information they need in Jira, in Notion, in the customer calls. So that really speeds up a lot of time. Yeah.
So is there like a rule of thumb where we can say agents are useful for that and not for that?
I would mainly say look at all the repetitive things that come up on a weekly or a monthly or a quarterly basis. I think you can really win a lot of time and also improve the quality of the output as well. If you're still skeptical about the quality of your output, which I hear very often, then I don't think it's because AI cannot write decent copy. It's because you didn't tell AI how you want to sound, and you didn't give it the necessary information, like who's your ICP, which personas are you writing for, and what's your tone of voice. Yeah, that's where it really comes in useful. Another thing where they come in useful is in things where humans just make a lot of mistakes, right? Yeah, but it's funny. But have you ever done trade shows where you need to get quotes from different companies that are going to build your booth, and you want to compare these quotes, but it's super hard to compare because they make their quotes in different ways. Like they don't have the exact matching lines on the quote. So those things are prone to error if you leave it up to a human being. But I recently built something for a customer, which is it's a large real estate company. It's a real estate developer, so they don't do the building themselves. They buy a plot of land, and they have other construction companies actually build the thing. So they get quotes of hundreds of thousands of euros that they need to compare. But a person might be tired if it's late in the afternoon already, or just after lunch, the after lunch dip, and you might miss a couple of important numbers. If you can feed it to some sort of intelligence that doesn't feel that after lunch or Friday afternoon dip,
it doesn't need the coffee.
Yeah, indeed. I think the output is going to be more reliable than it would be when a human would do it all. So also there, if you need to,
probably anything related to data and analysis, when you feed the right context, and there's still like the critical feedback of the human and the judgment of what is it that I need, and filtering out the results. But yeah, like
Yeah, and we talked a lot about agents. Yeah, and we talked a lot about agents, but it doesn't need to be like something custom built all of the time. Sometimes you can just prompt back and forth about an Excel sheet or in an Excel sheet to get stuff done that would otherwise, again, cost you a lot of time or would be super prone to errors because you miss a column or whatever mistakes you can make in Excel. So.
Yeah. And where do you see the limitations of current agents?
The limitations.
Where does it
The
fail?
main thing I that's still lacking is the more creative things, like really coming up with, if you think about a campaign, like a really good creative concept. Because sometimes if you see really good creative concepts, they sometimes come from elements in our brain that have been there for years, and all of a sudden you have this aha moment where two things are being combined in a way that I think at this point only humans or a human brain can do
it doesn't create like new original ideas. It's more like I don't know, more of the same. And last week we had the meetup with marketeers also talking about AI and limitations and the usage that actually helps you to do your daily work. And one of the attendees, she said, well, it's actually when I have to think about something, like a brainstorm, if I use AI first, I kind of limit my own creativity because then you already have like an output of ideas, and then she said I can then only think about that, so it doesn't give you room for more. And I mean, I can relate to that. Like sometimes you want some ideas and the go-to place is AI, and you get some good ideas, but really like this original new idea won't necessarily be there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I like we were talking about the campaign at Apicbase earlier this week, and it actually made me go back to the textbook advertising type of guys when I came home. It was a couple of years ago, but I really went to the bookshelf and I took a couple of books because I knew, like, okay, I just need to refresh this type of content. It was a book written by Ogilvy, and he's really known for his advertising copy. Like he wrote for huge big brands, but the way he crafted the message, really it pulled people in and you kept on reading it, and just it's just also because of that creative concept. And like you said, it's if you start using AI right away, you're limited and you're like
Totally
pulled in a certain direction.
So first get on board with your peers. And I mean, we used to do that at Perk. We got in a room or maybe out of the room and just like get in another state of mind, like, because sometimes also when you want to be creative, it's also difficult when you have like a white paper in front of you.
Hey,
but
tomorrow at 2 we're gonna do the brainstorm. Shit, tomorrow at 2
So,
I'm not.
that's why like these team buildings help you, like to think of like different ways, and then maybe you have the inspiration while you're doing something completely different. So it's like creativity doesn't have like a roadmap. It's
No, it doesn't have a roadmap. It does have, like, it's how our brain is wired. Last year I went to a course and I mentioned the book. It's literally called How to Come Up with Creative Ideas. It's a book of 15 or 20 pages. It's that big. The font size is that big. So in 20 minutes you've read through it, and it explains a little bit how the brain works. We absorb so many information, and actively trying to come up with stuff usually doesn't work. It's in the moments that we're not thinking about the problem we're trying to solve or the campaign that we're trying to come up with, when the aha moments happen. So just let your brain do the digestion, but keep on feeding it with
sometimes less is more, right? It's not like about putting more. It's sometimes it's clearing and making space, like the spring clean of your closet, also in your brain. Like sometimes it's just like, giving it a little bit more space. All right, moving into like the part where I also feel it's part of the overall AI discussions. Are AI agents, is AI replacing humans? So what do you think about how it's affecting culture on hiring, but also structure of teams? I see these new org charts like CMO, tons of agents, and that's it. So what's your take on that?
Interesting one, because we've actually gone through some recent team changes. First of all, I think it won't per se start replacing human beings. I do think that the job is changing completely. Whether you're a designer or a copywriter or an event organizer or whatever, your job will be subject to change. You just need to approach your job in a completely different way. That's one. Two, if you don't embrace that change, I do think you're going to be left behind. I started telling my team in September, I think we had a new person joining the team. And from day one, I was telling her, do research, experiment. If you need access to a tool, just tell me, but don't miss the boat. And I kept on telling it like week after week, month after month. And it was still before we all had access to Claude. We only started using it in January, I think. When we started using Claude, she was like, now I get what you were saying a couple of months ago. At that point, she made that click. And she did make that click. But there was somebody else on the team. I was telling him the same thing. Like, get on board with AI, get on board with AI, do stuff with it, experiment with it. I don't want it to replace your creativity, but I do want it to lighten your work. That instead of, it was a designer drawing stuff here from there, making it pixel perfect, a couple of pixels to the left, couple of pixels to the... I don't want you to spend any more time on that type of work. And he didn't. And he eventually, I think he eventually left because he didn't embrace it and he didn't want to go in that direction in his job, which is fair. I like if he doesn't want to go that direction, it's his choice. But I do think that if you don't, you're gonna have a real hard time in the future workplace. And when we were looking for a replacement for that profile, was a designer. I already noticed it during the conversations. The first things that we asked was, how do you use AI in your job? And can you show us some examples? And where do you use it? Where don't you use it? So that is changing for sure. And then earlier this week, that's then the other side, at a one-on-one with somebody. And he was talking about, if the company keeps growing, we need to hire more people, and then there will be a middle management layer. And then I'm like, no, I just want to do more with the same amount of people. You should be able to, because it's going to evolve. What we've been through the past 3 months, 6 months was already a serious leap, but these leaps keep on coming. So you can be much more productive and create much more output with the same amount of people. So like I said, it's going to affect people's work. You're going to be an orchestrator instead of an executor. instead of writing your text, something is going to write that text for you, but you need to brief that instance and you need to review that instance. But the actual writing or the actual research isn't going to happen from A to Z by that person anymore.
Yeah, I like the idea of moving from executor to orchestrator, because it's understanding what you need to feed the AI depending on your role, and I mean, maybe talking about content, which is the easiest. I think everybody can relate to content, and also the AI slop we're seeing everywhere now. I mean, it's easily, for me at least, to distinguish what's like fully AI created. It has like a certain structure, it has a certain language, but what separates actually like this AI fully content generated content from the AI maybe assisted content? So what is it that differentiates both?
We already touched it briefly earlier, but I think it has everything to do with the context that you feed it, and with the boundaries that you set. And with context, it's quite interesting. We have this concept at Apicbase of you have static context and you have dynamic context. And within the static context is your ICP, the personas that you write for. They don't change every day. It stays the same for quite a while. It only changes if you want to serve a new market, for example. The other static context that we have is who are we as a brand or as a company, and what's our tone of voice, how do we want to sound, and how do we communicate with our prospects and with our customers. That's all quite static. You document it once, you feed it to the AI that you use, and then you have the more dynamic content, which can be the tools that you connect to it. For example, the customer calls, the HubSpot connection. There's mails being sent between salespeople and prospects, or customer success people and customer, each and every day. So that context within a certain account is quite dynamic. Things might go super good this week, but if there's a bug in our software next week, things can, the dynamic within that account can change dramatically over a week. So if you want to write something that sounds like you and takes into account the circumstances, you both need to feed it with static context, dynamic context, and then it will already come quite close to what you want to try to achieve.
Yeah, and I mean, context is important, but also the human check. You already mentioned the multiple human checks. Also, last week in our meetup, we were talking about human first, human last, but also human in the middle. So you can't like fully automate it. At some point, maybe yes, because they also keep getting better. Where do you also see like human editing is still like super necessary in the content creation process or content editing?
Well, you already said it, like the last check needs to be done by a human. Like, I still don't want anything to go out without a human that actually read line by line, word by word, what was produced, or a designer that checks what has been designed. Because once it's out there and once it's public, it's basically irreversible, and you don't want to put your brand at stake. So before things go out, a human check is from what me concerns always necessary, especially if you're talking about emails that go out to thousands of people. I don't feel confident enough
you have to
yet.
check before sending the
and sometimes it might happen that the copy that was written or generated can be sent without editing, but at least you checked you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Use your
With the
judgment.
human checkpoints, with the human checkpoints, that's actually also quite cool. In those processes where we have human checkpoints, all the human checkpoints are being saved as well. So you have a point of reference that you can consult later as well. Like, why did we? Why was this feature in the email? If all of a sudden the CTO asks me, why was this feature pushed and not that feature, we can look back. Okay, we made this decision because X, Y, Z.
Yeah. And
Um,
also who made the decision. So it's also,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you still need like
You
someone
can
to
put him on the
blame.
spot.
Yeah. Cool. And also like from content to tools, there's like
Mhm,
so much going on, and sometimes
mhm,
it's really difficult to know what is it that actually will help you to, like
mhm,
save you time and make decisions faster. So how do you decide on, like what is actually like staying curious without like pursuing everything that's
mhm,
going on,
mhm.
like this experimentation already mentioned a little bit in your culture about,
Yeah, yeah.
hey, experiment with AI, just like get to know
Mhm.
to it, but like how to also time manage between, what is
Yeah.
it where you want to
You
experiment
can
and where you don't want to like spend all your day experimenting.
you can go down the rabbit hole each every day, I think. Yesterday there was another release which you can research and experiment with. Yeah, today if you want to. But yeah, I try to first of all be part of a couple of communities that focus on very specific things and subscribe to newsletters. Again, have those newsletters summarized and let AI make a summary for me with the things that are actually important to me, so I don't have to read all the way through it. Second of all, connecting with peers is quite important for me. There's one, yeah, like a mastermind group where I'm a member of, where we do um, um, a live session once per month, and then which is an online session. 10 to 15 people join. There's one guest speaker. He comes and presents a workflow, a new tool, new insights, new whatever.
Hmm.
And once per quarter, we also try to do that in real life, which is even more fun because then you really get the chance to mingle before and after the event as well, to see what other people are working on, what successes they've had, what failures they've had. It already gives you a good idea. Again, you absorb it in the brain, and at some later points, you will have that aha moment again. And then a third thing is, yeah, outside of working hours, I still have 3 kids at home. But even there, if my oldest son comes home and like the next 2 weeks he has a bunch of exams, okay, let's see how we can help him without spending hours each evening just sitting next to him, tutoring him. What can we build in order to make his life easier, make studying easier, make it more fun, and yeah, experiment with yeah, experiment outside of the working context.
AI for
And
kids.
that gives
That's a whole
yeah,
different
yeah.
topic.
No, like he's super is a difficult student, but like previous exams, we just made this daily planning, and if he actually did it, he could click a button like, okay, I did it, and he earned XP, and apparently XP is something that you also earn in all these video games. So for him, it was relevant. Yeah, I can earn points if I do this. So he was really eager to do his studying.
Hmm.
Uh,
Not a lot of parents will like, right.
mm,
AI for kids. No. We'll cover that in another session. But moving into the last part of a little bit looking into the future and also how user behavior is changing.
mm,
Yeah, like
mm.
what do you think is happening right now, especially in B2B? I
Mhm.
mean, there is a rise of zero-click tendency. So also, how do you see it in campaigns, but in general, like where do you see user behavior
Mhm.
is going?
Um, we we relied a lot of we rely a lot on inbound. Um, it's from the inception when I started working at Apicbase, we were very content driven. It gave us very good rankings in Google for certain important keywords and key phrases for us. And we see that shift happening as from a year ago already. All of a sudden, it became hard to identify the actual source that people were coming from. And then we introduced some kind of self attribution. So whenever people request a demo or want to get in
Mm,
touch with us, we ask them a question like where did you first hear about Apicbase? The majority already says AI.
okay.
So orientation is happening in a completely different way than when people were using Google, and there was the goal to be um, in the first couple of search results, preferably top three, and maybe even above with some ads. And now it's just making sure that you're part of the answer. But becoming part of the answer, at least in my head, if you've done your SEO work, you'll probably
Mm,
make a good start into being mentioned in the answers as well. But if you really take it a step further, then the question becomes, how do people ask these questions? Like you can
mm,
ask a question, but formulate it in 100 different ways. And you get 100 different answers probably as well. It's going to be slightly different, and sometimes you'll be there, and sometimes not. So that's the thing that people
mm,
need to figure out. What are the questions that are being asked, and how can we differentiate even more from our competitors? And there, fortunately, we've made a very good stance in our messaging the past couple of years. Um, if you now start asking questions to just in Claude chat, for example, at a certain point, you ask a question, but then it comes back with questions towards you, right?
yeah.
And let's say I'm not going to focus on hospitality and food service software now, but because I don't want to
Bias.
yeah, make our competitors smarter. But um, let's say you have accounting software, and you're self-employed, so you need to have accounting software to book your invoices, to send your invoices, etc. If you start querying an AI for, hey, what's the best accounting software for me? And if that AI doesn't have a lot of memory about you, it's going to ask you a question. Are you self-employed? Are you an SME, or are you an enterprise?
Mm,
Right? And it's going to tailor that answer based on the input you give it. Okay, I'm self-employed. Okay, it's going to move towards QuickBooks and Zero and some other providers. It's not going to move you to Exact Online or to these big enterprise suites.
yeah.
Um, so do the exercise, see what questions it comes back with, and then check like, okay, who do we actually position for? Positioning
Mm.
becomes more important because your answer really is going to be tailored towards
Yeah, of course. I mean, in the end,
your
it's like
exact use case.
how you also appear throughout the different channels. It will pull that
Mhm.
information into AI. So what you already said, like if you've done a good job in SEO, probably the ranking will be easier in the LLMs.
Mhm.
But is
Mhm.
there any other advice for CMOs how to prepare for the next 1, 2 years? I mean, that's obviously like something based on your experience, but still, like, what do you suggest for people who are like now actively starting?
Surround yourself with people that have the same challenges or that are solving the same challenges. Um, because looking into the future, it's becoming harder and harder. Like a couple of years ago, you could see a trend. Hey, video is becoming more important. This is becoming more important. That is becoming more important. But with AI, it becomes uh, much more unpredictable because in a month from now, new models appear, new capabilities appear,
Mm.
which you might have an idea of, and you might start preparing in that direction already, but you might be completely off. And that was different in the past. You knew video was going to be big in 2, 3 years from now, and you could
Mm.
already start playing with it. But yeah, looking 2, 3 years in the future, like
So basically coming back to humans. Prepare for AI by connecting to smart humans. I like
mhm,
that.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah, no, it's in the end, it's human relationships won't change like from one day to
Mhm.
the other unless they're idiots. But I mean,
Which your listeners aren't, you know.
no, of course not.
They wouldn't be
So
listening.
that's true. That's true. Moving into the
Yeah,
closing. So this is like rapid fire, just like one word, one sentence.
difficult. Yeah.
Difficult, I know, that's why. That's a great finale. One AI tool every CMO should try or have.
Or paperclip AI. And if you want to ask me why as well, this is the first thing for me that is really moving into okay, run a department with a couple of agents that also talk to each other in a very visual way.
Okay, good. One AI trend you're skeptical about.
User gener AI generated user generated videos, testimonial videos which are generated. Like,
Hmm.
no, I hate it. I
No
also think that
credibility.
brands that are using it, yeah, they should
Okay,
be punished.
we'll punish them. One workflow every marketing team should automate.
Content creation in its widest form.
Okay. One skill marketers should develop that AI won't replace.
Critical thinking.
Mhm.
Critical thinking. Yeah.
We said it many times. So that's if you haven't weren't paying attention, that's it. Okay, last question. One last recommendation to anyone starting or being in a similar position to yours.
To quote a very famous brand, just do it. Don't be scared, just do it.
That's
It's not
Nike.
technical. Yeah, it's not technical. I don't be scared of technicalities. Um, Treat it as your companion, treat it as your liaison. Ask it anything you want. If it gives you an answer that you don't understand, ask it again to explain it as a to a 10-year-old or whatever. But don't be afraid of using it and get out of your comfort zone.
I like it. Let's finish here. So, Joris, thank you for this chat of many insights. And I think to our listeners, it's not about AI replacing your jobs. It's more about you adapting to AI and being better at your job, faster, being able to leverage more,
Mm-hmm.
and those analysis where you are sleep deprived will help you not to make mistakes. But most importantly for me, AI, when you use it, use your mind, critical judgment, give it context so that the output is better, and also don't give away your creativity. So get out, talk to people, surround yourself with mind-blowing humans, and yeah, then you'll be fine. And then, as Joris said, just do it, try it out, don't be afraid. In the end, we're here to experiment in life, so that's just one part of it. Joris, where can people find out about you and connect to you?
LinkedIn is probably the easiest way. Just look up my name on LinkedIn. For any Dutch people that might be listening, I do have a website, which is just jorisbrabants.com. But it's all in Dutch, so probably not going to get a lot of new newsletter subscribers with it.
I'll put it in the show notes in case they want to check. And I mean, we can all translate it in English. So that's it for today's Marketing Kunoichi Expert Talk. If you liked it, please follow us, share us, and see you next time. Bye.